Every brand has a beginning, and every beginning has a turning point. Because in South Africa, car brands don't just spawn out of nowhere overnight. They have to be tried, tested, and in most cases, they will be judged and even doubted. For BAIC, that turning point came wearing one name, and that was the Beijing X55. Now, back in the mid-2010s, Chinese brands weren't really trusted. They were called cheap, disposable, and unreliable. And no one could blame them based on how some of them exited the market. And back then, people didn't care about how a car drives. That wasn't the main priority. The main priority was how long it would last. And in all that chaos, BAIC arrived. Without any noise, without any hype, and they brought a plan. BAIC entered South Africa around 2016 with something to prove. They weren't trying to be the cheapest, they weren't trying to copy anyone, they were trying to build something that felt important, something that felt serious. And while one of their first efforts didn't make it in South Africa, which is the D20, they still have the B40. Those are the cars they chose to start their legacy in South Africa, but they definitely weren't the ones to solidify it. But that all changed in 2022 when BAIC introduced the Beijing X55, because it wasn't just another SUV for them, it was the turning point in their legacy. It came with this bold design, you had these German-inspired body lines, and an interior that people weren't ready for. Because honestly, when people climb into this interior for the first time, they're confused because it doesn't fit the narrative that we've placed on the Chinese, that they're cheap and they use bad materials. It feels expensive. Now, under the hood, you have the much beloved 1.5 turbo petrol engine, and in this iteration, it pushes out 138 kilowatts and 305 Newton meters of torque. Now, those numbers don't really paint the full picture of how this car feels. It feels alive, it's always ready, it feels very eager to get going. And once you drive it, you'll understand that the throttle isn't lazy, it's sharp, the steering doesn't float, it actually feels planted. And in the corners, it doesn't lean like a tall SUV. The handling is great because it actually keeps itself together. This is a product that wants to be taken seriously. And BAIC threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at this car. Because you have heated and cool seats, there's soft materials all over the cabin, the stitching implemented here feels intentional. Even the sunroof, which is probably the largest in its class. And not forgetting, they also added black roof lining. All of this just culminates into a product that actually feels very premium. But it's not all perfect. Every legacy has its scars, and this one has quite a few, mostly software related. And looking at the remote start, it feels magical starting your car from inside the house until you step inside and realize that none of your displays are on. You actually have to press the start-stop button to switch on your digital gauge cluster, and your infotainment screen won't switch on until you put the car in reverse, forcing it to show you the 360-degree camera system. And also the Apple CarPlay. It doesn't have native Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have to use an adapter for that, which sometimes defaults to an old Bluetooth connection and then disconnects. It's also very laggy sometimes, and considering that your air conditioning is in here, when it lags, so will your comfort. And one other thing that really gets to me, especially because this is seated as a premium offering from BAIC, you have 2 front passenger seats, but only 1 cup holder. I don't understand why only 1. It should have catered to both. But here's the truth. This car changed something. Because after BAIC launched the X55, people started looking at it different. They started asking questions. They started test driving. They started listening. The X55 didn't just sell units. It changed the perception. Now, while it wasn't part of the beginning of BAIC's story in South Africa, it was definitely the turning point of their legacy. The X55 turned BAIC into a household name.